So welcome to Sarah and Tyler from the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled. My name is Samantha Bowers. I'm the consultant for continuing education here at the State Library of Iowa. It is 1 o'clock, so I'm going to get us started with our webinar today, which is all about the BARD, not Shakespeare, the other one. If I stole your Shakespeare joke, I'm sorry, Tyler, but you can.
Don't worry, you're good.
You can make it again. So this is not Shakespeare. This is Braille and audio reading download. So this is not something I know a lot about. So I'm really excited to do that. We are awarding 1 hour of continuing education credit for our time together today. So keep an eye on that chat. If you see a message from me asking for your last name, just respond so that I can take attendance as we go today. And with that, Sarah and Tyler, thanks so much for being here. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and get us kicked off here.
Sounds good.
Afternoon, I'm Sarah Williford. I'm the Library Director for the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled. I have been in my position for 7 years now and am glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Tyler Sweat. I'm the Accessible Media Specialist at the library. Been here for 1.5 years now. It'll be 2 years in June, so yeah. I'll go ahead and bring up our PowerPoint and we'll get going.
You want me to start?
Yeah, you're good.
We're sort of tag teaming today. So I am going to start the webinar off today and talk a little bit about just a brief history of the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled and audio and Braille books. And then kind of how laws and some different things helped to create and give our patrons access to BARD. So I'm going to kind of do the story up until BARD, and then Tyler will take over and talk about BARD itself and its functions, and then also what public libraries can do to help us spread the word and also the resources that are available to you. I will do next slide, Tyler. Thanks. So just really quick about our library. Our library is a regional library of the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. And that is a program administered by the Library of Congress. So each state has a regional library. It will look different depending on which state you're in, where they kind of live, where the library is housed, and also the services they provide. But each state does have services provided to them from the National Library Service. Our library is what we call a one-stop shop. So we don't contract with other states to provide full, we call it NLS, National Library Service services. So we have audio Braille, print Braille, large print, and then we also circulate equipment. So our digital audio players and our e-readers. We are, our library is under the Iowa Department for the Blind. That's a picture of our building. Again, we were just talking, we are downtown Des Moines, and that is our library. I will tell you, our stacks run all the way through that building. So from the basement up to 4th floor are our Braille large print stacks. And then the library is on the 1st and 4th floors in that picture there. Again, we do provide playback equipment as well. So that's kind of how we work under the Library of Congress and the National Library Service. So eligibility for our services. We, as a regional library of the National Library Service, we follow the guidelines set by NLS. So those who are blind with low vision, a physical disability, and then a reading disability are eligible for our services. And this slide just kind of goes into the details of each of those eligibilities, but we kind of sum it up short and sweet in that if someone is unable to read standard print, they will fit into one of our eligibilities. And if there's ever a question about where or if someone is eligible, we just say, give us a call and we can sort through some of that. the key to our application is to identify with one of these eligibilities, and then the application is signed by what we call a certifying authority. And you guys get to be like first of some exciting news. Last week, the National Library Service kind of opened up who can be that certifying authority for for reading disability, and that also impacted the other ones. So librarians, teachers, special education, activity directors at nursing homes, those are all part of that certifying authority piece. So we're really excited that prior to that, the reading disability one was, it had to be a doctor of medicine, had to be that certifying authority, and that is no longer the case. So we're excited to be able to announce that that little hurdle is gone for people. So a quick brief history, and the reason why I go into this history is to kind of show how and why services for the blind and print disabled began, and then also where BARD fits into this timeline. So it all started in 1931 with the Pratt-Smoot Act, and I always have to use this picture because I just love that she's wearing, I think it's a raccoon in that picture, but this is Congresswoman or Representative Ruth Pratt and then Senator Reed Smoot, who put forward the first act to provide on a national scale library services for the blind. So that became law in 1931, and the Librarian of Congress was authorized to work with states to serve as local or regional centers to provide the services. So that is how we came to be as a regional library for Iowa. Then in 1996, we jump ahead a lot, but the Chafee Amendment was the next really significant change to the services being provided. And this President Clinton signed and became public law. And this was probably one of the most significant pieces to be put in place, because this one established a limitation on the exclusive rights in copyrighted works. So we didn't have to any longer go and gain permission from the copyright holder to begin production. We could, as long as we have a copy of that book, we can then turn it into an alternative format such as audio or Braille. The Chafee Amendment allows authorized entities like the National Library Service and our library as a regional library to reproduce and distribute copies of previously published literary or musical works. So these accessible formats are exclusively for the use of print disabled persons. So our patrons who have gone through the eligibility through our application and have that certifying authority. So that's kind of how it all comes together for who's eligible also to have access to what is on BARD as well. So just in here, 2013, 2015, the BARD app is launched. And then in we'll say 2019, it started back in 2016. The Marrakesh Treaty was, we became the 50th member to join that one, and it just extends the Chafee Amendment to include going across borders, other countries, and really seeks to address the widespread, what we call book famine, for accessible formats, so Braille and as well as audio. So we are able to receive books in alternative formats from other countries, and we can also share those as well. So those are kind of quick view of our history of how we are, and who we are. So our audiobooks are produced by both NLS, our library, and then other regional libraries. And these are all shared on what Tyler is going to talk about shortly through BARD. What makes our audiobooks a little different than your commercial audio is we encode markers into them that basically are placed in the book for chapters, subheadings, paragraphs, and others to help the listener navigate through that audio and Braille book. So we add these markers. I can tell you that one of the most complicated books I've ever seen edited is the Bible, just so that you can navigate through even to passages. So because those are marked in this way, it allows our patrons to what we call maybe jump to different levels within the book by using these encoded markers. So our library, our audio team here does do editing in that way. They mark up the book so it is ready to play in BARD, and also with our digital player that's pictured there as well. So just really quick, one of the formats that is used is called DAISY, D-A-I-S-Y, Digital Accessible Information System. And this one contains both audio and text, so it can be used as an audiobook or as a Braille, access the Braille for that. So digital audiobooks will not work on players. Our digital audiobooks won't work on players that are not designed to play them. So there are third-party players out there that are designed to work with our audiobooks. We check out the one that's featured here on this slide. So BARD was designed by the National Library Service as a fully accessible way for our eligible patrons to access Braille and audio. Not all apps out there are fully accessible, and they wanted to make sure that was available to our patrons. So BARD is designed specifically to be used with screen readers, voiceover, and again, easy navigation, also with Braille e-readers. So I'm gonna kick it over to Tyler.
All right. So Sarah kind of went over a little bit about BARD, but I'm going to kind of do a little more deep dive into it and kind of talk about where the public library comes into play with BARD and just kind of how you guys can help us with this program. So like Sarah said, Braille audio reading download, a web-based password protected service, thousands of audiobooks and Braille books, magazines, and music scores. So the National Library Service, they maintain the website. They're handling, the server space and all the statistics of who's downloading what and those things. And so where the network libraries come in, like us, we handle the applications for patrons that want to sign up for this, and then any tech support such as password resets or devices aren't working and those types of things. As far as applications go, before they can even apply to getting BARD, they have to be a patron of our library. And then from there, they can sign up for BARD. So it's kind of a two-step process with that. BARD Mobile was the one. It's the first two pictures here. That's what we were kind of talking about with the app. And this is the iPhone version, the iOS version. And then BARD Express is the PC version. They don't have an Apple version, but they just said they have a PC version of a desktop app. And I'll kind of show that as well, because that one's pretty handy for people using BARD on a computer. So as a public library, what you can do is you can become what's known as a BARD demonstration site. And so the purpose of that is to sort of check out or sort of give your patrons a chance to see what BARD is and see if it's something they would be interested in if they qualify for our services. So we have an application, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And so what you get when you sign up, though, is a digital player. So that would be like this one on the far right here, digital player. And then it has a cartridge in the front here. So that's a green cartridge. So you would get a green cartridge, which we call a personal cartridge. And then you get a pink one, which is the circulation cartridge. So those are the ones that we send out to our patrons, and then they mail back and we put more books on. You also get headphones and a cable. So the cable is a longer cable that's used to put those cartridges into a computer. So if you're downloading books from BARD onto a cartridge, you would do that with a USB plug-in, because while the cartridges are like a standard USB stick in some ways, they aren't in other ways. So the shape of them is designed to fit in the front of those players. And so it's a different plug-in, even though it's a standard USB, it's just slightly different. So that's why we do that. And then also promotional packet containing applications like library service applications and promotional material that goes along with that. So the big thing is, there are policies that go along with this, just because being a demonstration site with BARD, we just want to make sure that everything's being used correctly. So the digital player and digital cartridges remain at the demonstration site at all times. So you're not checking this out to anybody. No one's taking it home with them. It's staying at the library. Demonstration purposes only. And I'll go over the books that that you guys get for the demonstration to kind of show people how to download books and how to use BARD itself. So you can demonstrate them to anybody, though. It doesn't have to be someone that you think qualifies for our services. So it could be like a family member that is interested, like they have a spouse that might be losing their vision or can't read standard print, and they're wondering about kind of, do they qualify and kind of what is out there. So that's where that would be a great person to kind of show and kind of talk about their interest in something like the digital players while using BARD on top of that. So that's kind of where that falls in. So the 4 titles that you get to help your patrons: Braille into the Next Millennium, R is for Reading, so library service to the blind and physically handicapped children; Speaking Out, personal and professional views on library services for the blind and physically handicapped; and That All May Read, library services for the blind and physically handicapped people. So these are just 4 titles that the National Library Service has put out, just kind of help show you guys how to download, how to listen, and just being able to show off kind of what it is and how it works. So when you sign up for it, when you sign into BARD and you go to the website, when you go on BARD Express with your library sign in, these are the only 4 titles that you have access to, just for that demonstration purposes. Now, there is more that you guys can do with BARD, and I'm going to kind of go into that here in a minute. I just wanted to kind of, as far as the demonstration site goes, that's where you have the player and you have some cartridges, and you're just really showing off how to download, how to use the player, and anything like that. You're not answering tech questions or anything like that. You can forward them on to us. Having the, and you'll have all our contact information as far as, let's say one of our patrons and your patrons comes in and says, hey, I can't get on my BARD account. You guys showed me how to use it. That's where you would forward them over to us. We would reset their password and go from there, just to kind of clear up some of that about where we each stand as far as that. So as far as BARD in the library, BARD Express is a great route. So if you have a patron that qualifies for our services that is using BARD, you could put something like BARD Express on your computer. And so what BARD Express is, and I'll show off the program. It's a desktop app that allows downloading. If you don't have this and you use BARD, you literally have to download files, unzip files, move the correct files over to the cartridge, and then you can take the cartridge out. So what this does is it handles all of the searching, all of the cartridge management, all exist on one program. So it makes it really nice. So you could put this on a public computer in your library, and you can set it out. I took a screenshot here just to make this clear. So when you're downloading it, you can make it a public, and so that automatically auto logs out the person from BARD after 5 minutes of inactivity. And so what then they can do, they can come in and use BARD with their account on your computers, download books onto a cartridge, and then they could take it with them. So that is definitely an option that you guys have to do with patrons that are also our patrons as well. It's fully accessible with screen readers. I'm not talking a whole lot about screen readers in the public library today. I am a little teaser. In 2 months, we're going to be doing a whole webinar kind of about screen readers and what to do with those. And I think that's going to be a really good one, how you guys can use those in your library. And I think that's going to be a really informative one. But this program is fully accessible with screen readers. So that's an important thing, for those low vision or blind patrons that are coming in, that they can have access to it with a screen reader. So that is pretty slick. So now I'm going to kind of show off some resources here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to go to that link first. So we're going to jump over to just screen.
I'm going to throw in a random stat here, Tyler.
Yeah.
So I just popped into BARD really quick, and there are 121,608 books available right now in different formats, so audio and Braille format. And there's 19 people downloading right now.
So there we go. So this is the BARD website. So it's nlsbard.loc.gov. If you guys want to check it out, you can kind of poke around. But as far as signing up, the best way to do it is to become a demo site is to fill out our application. So do we have this attached to our blog?
It is. So one of the last slides is that public library resource piece that will let you know how to get there. And then that has information about the demonstration site and the application.
Okay, I was pretty sure it was on there. Yeah, so it's a pretty basic application. It has kind of the same policy stuff that I talked about earlier. So just, we'll kind of show you where that lives and just kind of everything that goes along with that here in a little bit. But just, I'm kind of running over it quick, but just so you guys know, it's not a super hard application. As far as some other things with BARD, one thing I wanted to show off is our YouTube channel. So YouTube channel is youtube.com/Iowa Department for the Blind. And we've really kind of revamped it over the last year or so. And it's become a really good sort of resource center for a lot of the things that we do here. So one of the playlists that we have up here is our BARD playlist. So I'm going to kind of talk about this for a second. So one of the things it kind of goes over this is, on the patron side to be how to sign up, how to use BARD Express, how to use BARD Mobile, Braille settings for BARD Mobile, and just kind of everything that goes along with BARD. So it's pretty easy standard walkthroughs that I think just do a really good job of kind of showing off just how to use it. So if you guys have a specific question or you just want to kind of walk through what's going on with that, I think that it's really sort of it's a good spot to kind of start with as far as learning more about how to use it. And I'm going to jump back here. While we're on our YouTube page, I'm going to show it off a little bit more too. So we have been posting any of our other programming that we've been doing here. So we've been doing monthly webinars for youth programming and some other things that exist on here. So if you ever want to check it out, I recommend it. And that's not because I'm in charge with it. I really think there's good content that exists on here. We're always putting up more stuff. So, it can't hurt to come check this out and kind of gain some information from there. So I'm going to kind of jump back over here now, and I'm going to pull up. I have too many windows open, of course. So I'm going to, let's go BARD Express. So showing off BARD Express, just kind of you guys have an idea of what it looks like. So it's a really just a nice program that really keeps everything a little simpler. You can search for titles on here. You can download from here. It all exists here. So I'm going to go to bookshelf. And so right now I have 4 Braille books that are in here. When we're talking about Braille, I know that might be new to you. I forget sometimes this might be a new sort of idea for a lot of people is electronic Braille. And so what electronic Braille books are that you get it's a Braille format that is electronic so that you can have it on a refreshable Braille device. So what a refreshable Braille device is, it's the device where the dots pop up and down. So I have our e-reader here. So like this part, I'm going to go into really brief. So like this right here, the dots pop up and down. So the Braille, it comes up and the person can read the book. So this is, kind of what a refreshable Braille device is when we talk about Braille books as far as downloading them. But yeah, it does a really nice job of organizing it and keeping everything on here. And then from here, you can directly copy to cartridge. Boom, click on it, pop it in there. So I have an SD card in, so that's why it shows up. But anything that you have plugged in, it'll allow you to copy that onto there and just sort of manage it from here. Searching is on here as well. You have search BARD, and it all just kind of lives on here. So for those patrons that are using it, is really is handy, and it makes it a whole lot easier than having to go to the website, find the book, download the book, unzip the file, move it onto the cartridge. So that's where it just really does a great benefit for that. Trying to think, are you answering questions as we go through? I keep seeing some flashes here and there.
I am, but I think maybe there's one we could kind of, or you could talk a little bit more about faster than I can type. One of them was just about could a family member then access BARD Express and then help them get that downloaded? And I replied really quick with yes. We do have quite a few family members that help with that. And the comment was made that their cartridges are kind of few and far between. So that's definitely a way to have quick access to the books you want when you want them. And also, just on a side note, give us a call if you have patrons who aren't maybe getting cartridges as they should. We know that the mail can be kind of an issue, so we are able to put more cartridges in circulation and mail in and out to them to kind of help with that as well. But definitely BARD Express is a great way to get items downloaded to a cartridge, and whoever can help them is possible too.
Yeah, because I think you notice the people that really use BARD Express are people that are that are using those cartridges to put into the NLS player that we provide them. That's a pretty common route where they're going to listen to it if they're going that way. When because I think if you're not using BARD Express, you're going to be using BARD Mobile, which makes more sense. On the mobile side, the player looks a lot like they built it to look like the I go back up and show that one. Look like the NLS player as far as kind of what it looks like and how it functions. So you can see the differences here, how the buttons are all kind of in the same place, the same shape for someone low vision, and they also are titled the same thing for if you're using a screen reader using BARD Mobile. Because for BARD Mobile, you would just download it directly. It's the same as the bookshelf. You would download it into your bookshelf, and then you would be able to play it directly from the app itself.
So here's another question you can probably answer, Tyler, is would someone who is visually impaired be able to do this on a public computer, or would they need assistance? Is this where we might need a screen reader?
Yeah, so that's where, if you look at, if you're setting up BARD Express on there, low vision. So this, if they don't have access to something like Zoom Text, if they're not already using that or they don't understand how to use that stuff, a screen reader would definitely come into play, just because that's such a big part, and especially if they're used to using a screen reader in other places, like on their phone, which is becoming much more common. Everybody has a smartphone, so if they're using it there, then they should be able to use one on a computer. That doesn't necessarily mean it, but this program is accessible with the screen reader, and it completely works with all the screen readers that would the main 3 that are out there that are going to work on this. So,
and then also, if you want to speak to that, or maybe you're going to get to this and I'm jumping ahead, the app, the mobile app with voiceover.
Oh, our actual library application?
No, BARD, and how that would work on a phone or iPad.
You're saying for the patron to sign up for BARD?
To use BARD. So that they would be able to use, if they have the application on their mobile app, they would then on their phone use voiceover.
Sorry, I brain fart for a second there. Yeah, so when you're talking about BARD Mobile, that's where it works with voiceover, which is the iPhone screen reader. It also works with TalkBack, which is the Android one. So they do, those, everything is completely accessible as far as, having the patron use it and have full access to it with their screen reading technology. So,
and the National Library Service does do updates to both the iOS and the Android app to kind of make functionality keep up with the times, and also have done some pretty good improvements. So they do update those apps as well.
Yeah, no, they do a good job with it, and they're really good about fixing issues too. If you find them, reaching out to them and kind of getting a hold to try to fix those accessibility issues and other things that go along with it. So it's come a long way, and it's still getting better. So
yeah, I don't know if when you had the BARD Express piece up there, but there is a way to search by series, and there's also magazines available as well through BARD. And there's one question I don't want to miss. Do they have to ask us for a blank cartridge? We do have some patrons that will request that. We call them personal cartridges that we can send, and others have purchased their own. I will say there was a drought of being able to purchase cartridges. They weren't able to find them. So I would say reach out to us. We're probably the best place to ask for those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the green one, Because yeah, we just separate it by color for us as far as circulation, because the ones that we send out for circulation have different files on them that allow certain books to be played on our players. And so that's kind of why we have a distinction between the two. Or a personal cartridge, a patron could put anything on there. And you know, as far as they're downloading from other, you know, audiobooks from somewhere else or something, versus with ours, they're specifically made for the books that we have access to, that then we can put on a cartridge attached to that patron on what books they have. So
correct. And there's a digital rights management piece, the security piece that goes along with the different colors. So that's kind of our behind the scenes thing there.
So it says, did you say the mobile options are now available other than iOS and Android? No, those are the only two that they really exist on. Well, actually, it's on the Google Play Store. So I think you have access on a few other things, but the Google Play Store app, so the one that you would go through Android or other things, it only works on certain devices. So if it's an older device, it's not going to be able to be downloaded onto that device. And with the Android version, it's the cutoff seems to be much newer devices than with iOS. I've been running into that lately, where patrons have been calling saying that their tablet no longer works with BARD Mobile and those types of things. So that is something that I'm running into more with the Android side, if you have an older tablet. So.
Can I jump in here and talk a minute about what's coming in the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are part of an e-reader pilot project right now. So we are able to provide Braille e-readers to our patrons. And one of the features with that is they can connect that device directly to BARD and then download straight from BARD to the device. So when we talk about our digital player, what the next version of that player will be, it will have the slot for the cartridge that we use to put our audio on, but it will also have that same functionality of where they could download straight from BARD to the player rather than using a cartridge. So depending on their comfort level, as well as their access to getting connected to BARD, they'll have different options on how to get those books. So that will be the next version of the National Library Services digital player. So kind of to push and pull those books to the actual player.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I'll go over quick, and then Sarah, we can kind of show off the blog and talk a little bit about that. So staying active in the program is back to being a demo site. So the designated contact person for your demonstration site changes, just call or email and provide the new name. We'll be glad to assist in finding ways to tell your community about the services we provide. We're always willing to do that. So feel free, if you get it and you're having a lot of questions, or you just kind of want to promote it more, always feel free to reach out to us. We're always willing to promote our services and kind of how we can help those people in the state. Contact us if you encounter any issues with the digital cartridges or digital player, and feel free to make copies of our application or request more promotional items at any time, because you get that in the kit. And our application is now online. We do have an accessible version of it that's easy to fill out, and so that is an option as well that we'll kind of show off here in a minute. So do you want to share your screen for the blog?
Oh, go ahead. I'm afraid to upset our balance here. Well, just as Tyler oversees our YouTube channel, I get to oversee our blog. So this is kind of my creation and the rest of the library staffs. But we do have a lot of resources here on our blog. Always links to our YouTube and about BARD as well under books and media. The other one I wanted to point out under resources, and then public libraries. We have started what we call a knowledge base here for public libraries. So if you click on that guy, yep, library guy. We've started kind of chunking out resources we think will be helpful for you as you're working with your community. So accessibility, Braille, and then information about our library is, I believe, where we put the application for the demonstration site.
Right there.
But we will keep, especially as we do these webinars, we'll keep adding to resources here. Denise Bean, our youth services librarian, who will be presenting at a few of these, is adding just some youth pieces and accessibility. And then also Tyler adds his accessibility pieces as he works with different groups. So we'll keep growing this for you. But again, if you have any questions, all of our contact information is here. And you can also subscribe to our blog. And anytime we post something new, you'll get an email with that information on it. So I don't want to forget about subscribing to our blog as well. But we're definitely trying to build this resource piece for public libraries. So please let us know if you have questions or something you'd like us to delve into. We're more than happy to do that. And one thing I did want to let people know under Books and Media, we are a member of the Bridges Consortium, and I'm moving ahead. We are going to talk about audiobooks in a later month, but we will kind of delve into Bridges and where it's accessible and where it's not, and how to kind of, a lot of times, Tyler can speak to this, it's finding workarounds or different ways to access some things when using applications like that. So we are a member of that consortia, and we do provide that to our patrons. So am I forgetting anything?
I wanted to, let's see, the application for library services. Yep, so check it out. So we have a PDF version of our library app, as well as our online form listed here. So like I said, the online form's fully accessible, works for the screen reader and all that good stuff. And we kind of talk about who qualifies and then the certification. So, and it's a competent authority now, which is what we talked about, you guys falling under the competent authority instead of a certified authority. So they changed the wording, but it means, you know, pretty much the same thing. We talk about that, and then the application is listed below. And you kind of just work your way through it. So there is that option, as well as just the PDF version of that. With the PDF version, you just print it out and mail to us, and then we can sign up that person from there. So
we have a question. Do eye doctors and eyeglass outlets have information pushed to them on this, or would that be a library opportunity for marketing? So because we're under the Iowa Department for the Blind, we do work with our vocational rehabilitation services to provide information to eye doctors and those different organizations. But any and all help we can get to promote the service is always welcome. So there are definitely opportunities to spread the word. We don't want to be like a best kept secret. So any help you can give would be appreciated.
yeah, because, you know, I think if you look at who qualifies that we kind of talked about earlier, it's a lot more than just blind people. And I think that sometimes we get, sometimes, you know, people think that we just are for the blind people of Iowa. And so I think that we're such a broader group than that qualify for our services. And so anytime where we can get information out and kind of saying like who actually qualifies is always a good thing. So we're always willing to take more. So.
And that is one thing that we do have to clarify often, is that we do serve a broader range of people than the Iowa Department for the Blind in which we're housed. So we do serve those with physical and then reading disabilities as well. So sometimes that is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So examples of reading disabilities, one of the ones we're seeing more and more applying for our services is the dyslexia. We have CVI, some cognitive. So it's really anything that And I can't remember the correct wording since they changed it, Tyler. Can you scroll down a little bit on the eligibility?
Just had it up too. But...
So it's really quite broad. So it's having a perceptual or reading disability of sufficient severity that they can't read standard print. So again, going back to that key phrase of they're unable to read standard print because of a perceptual or a reading disability. So I will say probably the largest group that we're seeing benefiting from our services that maybe it was a little bit more difficult for them to gain access to is the dyslexia groups.
Yeah, and we also go about competent authority on here and some other things. And also demonstration site information is down there too. So that's under get a library card. So that kind of, we have linked in multiple places so you can't miss it. And then on the sidebar, that's email subscription if you want to get new notifications of when we post. I don't think we post enough to be considered spam, so we're pretty consistent on when we post. So
No, and I don't know if we specifically said about the certifying competent authority, but that can be a librarian. So that is now listed clear as day on there. It wasn't before, so it can be a librarian.
I'm trying to think anything else on here that we need to show off. You know, we have some podcasts we've been doing. Check those out. You know, Braille Bits kind of going over the Braille code and just kind of learning it with interviews. And then Library News is just kind of keeping people in on what we're doing here at the library. And then Library Chat is our newest one. And so that one is where we are picking a podcast around a topic and then listening to that podcast and then kind of having a conversation about it amongst other things with book lists and other stuff that go along with it. So. Jump back over to here. Oh, we also are on Facebook and Twitter. So I don't know what's our Twitter handle or Facebook. Is it just the Iowa Library for the Blind?
Oh, for goodness sake.
I know.
And that's my responsibility.
I'm sure if you search Iowa Library for the Blind, you'll find it. So
yes, you'll find us. I just post there. I don't go there. Let me look.
I just grabbed it for you, Sarah. This is Sam. It is IDB Library.
Okay, I didn't know. I was thinking it might have IDB on there. So
including a very cute T-shirt. Oh.
Yes, that's our Braille Iowa T-shirt that we're selling until Friday. It's a fundraiser for our Friends of the Library. It goes to support our Braille Challenge. We are a site for a regional Braille Challenge, so students can sign up. They do different tests around Braille, test their Braille skills, and then they can qualify for nationals. So a little side note.
Can you translate?
It says Braille. It says, does it say the same thing, right? Doesn't it say Braille?
Yeah, it's hashtag Braille Iowa in Braille on the back. Yeah.
And then our upcoming one, so we're going to, in March, it's that all may read our library collection alternative formats. And so that one is we're diving into kind of everything with that, aren't we?
Yes.
So that's kind of talking about, you know, Braille, our Braille collection audio, and like we talked about bridges, you know, a little bit earlier, and just sort of everything that goes along with that. And then the April one is screen readers in your library that I'll be running the show on that one and kind of talking about how screen reader, you know, what screen readers are, what's out there, and kind of how you guys can use that at the public library to help your patrons out. So, and here's kind of a list of the other ones we're going to be doing over the course of the year. Pretty excited about a lot of these. I think they're going to be a lot of fun and just kind of getting a lot of information out about just the blind community and kind of where, you know, as a library, how we kind of approach things and just everything that goes along with accessibility. And so, yeah, it's going to be pretty good.
And one of the things I think the BARD, the program piece, and then as well as the applications demonstrate is something that you'll hear from us a lot if you keep coming to webinars is that universal design and learning, and just when we design things, really taking accessibility into account from the beginning, then like Tyler doesn't have to spend time working on retrofitting, or we're working on kind of backtracking and making things accessible. So you will hear about UDL from us a lot.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a Word document or an application, iOS app that is being developed. So, and that's one of the things that NLS wanted to show with the BARD application is how to do that correctly from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So I do see a hand raised. So Jody, I don't know. I think Samantha has to give you permission to.
I do, and I'm happy to do that. Jody, if you do have a question. Could be an accident, perhaps. Can you remind us if someone does want to become a demonstration site, is that on your blog as well?
Yep, it was on the blog in multiple places, under public library, under the resource page, as well as under get a library card. It was down towards the bottom. The application is there. So, and you know, and always feel free to email us or reach out if you're having trouble finding it. We can always just email it to you too. So.
And we did have one question from somebody who is already a demonstration site, so thank you. And I did take down, Cynthia, your information, and we'll be in contact to get you updated info. So thank you if you're already a demonstration site, and we can touch base and get you updated info.
I'm sort of curious if we have other demonstration sites here already. Do you want to throw that info into the chat if you are one? Yeah, no, this is such exciting information and such exciting news about librarians being the certifying authority now too. That's exciting stuff. So do you I don't know, I think we did a pretty good job of catching everyone's questions as we went in the chat. Would you be able to drop the link for that application into the chat as well,
Yep,
Sarah?
I got it. I saw that.
So,
question was, are there any guidelines for librarians and how to certify or assistance with that? So on the library application, you are just going to put in your information that you are the person certifying that this person qualifies for the services that we have here. So if they qualify under the guidelines that we kind of went over earlier, you're just going to put your information down. So then you're attached to that account saying that I certify that this person qualifies. So.
And really, you're just being asked to do the best that you can. We don't need like an eye doctor's report, those kind of things. You know, if it's a patron that, you know, maybe example we get a lot has just been struggling more and more with large print and accessing large print. That's just not enough for them, and they'd like to maybe try the audio piece. Just knowing that is enough to certify. So, and I do think the eligibility is broad enough that will catch most people. So we're not asking you to have them demonstrate anything or provide any documentation, just that you do know this individual and you've talked to them about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I think is the best way to say it.
Yep.
let's see, Sarah, can you give us a teaser for next month? That
Sure.
all may read our library collection and alternative formats.
So yeah, we're just going to dive into the different formats that we provide, what they are. We'll talk a little bit about production, if there's production pieces that take place to have those alternative formats, and those include audio Braille, print Braille, electronic text, and then we also have tactiles. Another piece that we're working on, I don't know if we have any, we're going to hit on this a little bit, and then Denise will hit on it again later, but the scale up, the STEM scale up kits, I don't know if we have anybody that is participating in that, but we are working on creating, just adding some accessibility pieces to those and making those available for circulation as well. So if a library did need an accessible STEM scale-up kit, we will have those available. So we have tactiles and different pieces like that as well in our collection. So just letting everybody know the types of things that we have available.
Oh yeah, that's definitely really exciting.
So I just dropped in the link to the actual page for the demonstration site on the blog. So, okay, question. I have a dyslexic customer. Would he get information from us or directly from you?
Either way.
Yep.
So you can give him the information or the application, or we can send it to him. Either way.
Got some good questions today, though.
Yeah.
Was good. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, it's always, I think this is, I like what you said, you don't want to be the best kept secret in library land. And so whatever we can do to help get this word out is good, I think. So that's awesome. Are any other closing thoughts from you guys, Sarah and Tyler?
No, just again, thank you for working with us to provide these. We're very excited to get to provide the information, but also get to see what public libraries are doing out there, or what they need, or what questions they have, and just reach out to us anytime you have questions.
Definitely.